exciting lineup for today. Coming up first is going to be Hawks Gaming versus Burning Core. Up a little bit later, however, the game that I'm particularly looking forward to is DFM versus V3. V3 is kind of one of the standout all-star teams that's going to be coming, or has kind of like come out the gates swinging, and swinging hard in this week. They're currently the only team 4-0, holding a perfect record, putting themselves above Sengoku, having beat them, and currently above DFM, who have had a rocky start to the early parts of this split. That being said, a lot of exciting games still to come, as well as what is currently a three-way tie for second place that is still to be overcome on the side between CGA, DFM, and Sengoku. And as you can see here, we are live and on scene. Everyone's still taking precautions with COVID and everything, you know, good that they are, as we're finally in person. So no more excuses of, oh, it's online, you know, it's this, it's that. Now, you're on stage. I did not get to confirm if they have an audience. I don't know if that is the case, but it is still that stage presence that we haven't put a lot of the rookies through, which could come up and is possibly going to come up right away in this first game with Hawks Gaming coming up. Aramik making his debut performance. This is going to be his first stage performance, as well as on the side of Burning Core, Yu-Gi-Oh! Going to be in the mid lane here. So this is going to be a little bit of an interesting one, as both teams are, you know, have a little bit of shakiness to overcome when it comes to the pro play stage. Now, one thing I am interested to kind of talk about in this one particular is Yu-Gi-Oh! Going up against Dasher in the mid lane between Hawks Gaming and Burning Core. Dasher, of course, used to the pro play stage, so he's a little bit, you know, you give him some immunity. He has some resistances built up to the, to the pressures of that live performance, of being on LAN. You're not in your home, you're not in a comfortable zone, unless, of course, you have his level of experience. Versus Yu-Gi-Oh!, who's new to the pro play stage. You know, this is going to be his first time, but Dasher is coming off of a lane swap, like we mentioned in the prior weeks. So now that he's settling in a little bit, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is getting a little bit more used to the, like, pro scene, which one will kind of weigh in? Is Yu-Gi-Oh! A bit more comfortable playing with his team on Burning Core than Dasher is to his role swap? Now, standings would have that Burning Core would win. It's currently third versus fourth, or third versus fourth, really fifth versus sixth, depending on how you view after the tie is up. That being said, Burning Core 2-2, Hawks Gaming is 1-3. That being said, they still have, both teams still have good opportunity to pull something out of this game. And it would be a pretty exciting one to see Hawks Gaming nab a win here, start to claw their way up the bracket. I feel like Hawks Gaming especially has, like I mentioned, they're a team that came into these weeks, week to week, they were trying to just cement themselves in a style, play it aggressively, and you know, there is, in part, it is sort of like you're looking to brute force past people. But on the other end of things, when you're coming off of a less than impressive summer split, I kind of enjoy the idea of, let's perfect something so that we know we have some way that we're pulling out games. We'll watch the Best Play Awards here. Opperman on Aatrox, I believe this is the river fight. And watch this play, as this was actually one of my favorites to watch. The good flank, but watch how many times he's hitting people on the edge of his Q. He gets both Cog and the Rumble there, landing that Q. Comes up huge with a flank that easily could have just been, okay, objective gone, fight's over. But a great flank from him. So we'll watch this one more time. Pops a World Ender, Umbral Dash over the wall. The beautiful Q flash that also dodges out on the fear from Cog. Just gets so much value there. Beautifully done from Opperman. They did tweet out this one, and this was definitely one of the highlights of week 1 in terms of just a great catch that really turned the fights around. Arumik playing up today, and a beautiful highlight to see from some of the rookies here. Ease in, gets the 4-man knock up, and is able to chase down Art. This was actually one of the games that Arumik, I felt, really got to kind of find his comfort zone. And in the wake of Rascal Jester just not quite having everything together, Dasher as well got a decent matchup into pink this game. But Arumik demonstrating the power of Wukong in the recent, or in this game, and power that we have not seen 100% explored yet among the LJL. We had seen a lot of different picks when it comes to, we did see I think 2 Renekton's, and we only saw 1 Wukong. Especially for a team like Hawks Gaming, who enjoys their aggressive dive style, enjoys playing up in the faces of your enemies. We'll be looking to see some more Wukong, unless Burning Core is wise to Arumik in the top lane and ends up taking that one away, but that will remain to be seen. And on the subject of rookies, especially coming up in the LJL, I feel like Arumik is definitely one of them that has kind of found his stride a little bit earlier, although it's somewhat hard to tell, just because we've seen, or Hawks Gaming isn't exactly one of the higher end teams, so it's a little bit hard for you to say, oh, he's playing well. He's really he's playing on par with the team. He hasn't had exactly a pop-off performance, but it's very difficult to kind of really identify the skill of a player like that, especially with the way those games have gone. Notably, also, we have seen Nagi performing okay on Rascal Jester. Similar story is that the team has not exactly come together at all points in the game, and it's been a little bit difficult for them to get the ball rolling on their end of things. And then, of course, there is also Unica on CGA, who has had pretty decent performance. I've actually been fairly happy with the way he has been going, and you'll see the line up here. Up first, Hawks Gaming versus Burning Core. Then we got V3 taking on Hawks Gaming immediately after. Then, the matchup that I think is going to be the highlight of today, DFM versus V3 Esports. Then finishing off with Burning Core taking on DFM. Burning Core gonna round out the first and last game of today. Now, Burning Core versus DFM is also going to be one of the matches that I look forward to watching this week. That being said, the third match is, of course, going to be the particular highlight one, and will likely be speaking volumes of how the rest of this summer split will go, because this is basically the last hurdle that V3 has to go through before they get a couple weeks of a little bit lighter challenge rating, if you will. They already took down Sengoku in the week prior, so when you look at, okay, you've beaten second place, you have first place left to beat. If you can knock those two down, you're sitting pretty as far as your seed is concerned for the rest of this summer split, so, or at least until you rotate back through those matches. That being said, DFM have been coming off of less than impressive weeks when it comes to, especially their last week performances. I was talking with some of the other English casters of the LJL. If you're all the LJL unofficially official guys, I did have a chance to sit down and chat with them, and we were just talking about how, the weeks have kind of gotten a bit more exciting with a lot of the rookies coming up. Still waiting to see some standout performances, but we'll see how they adjust into these coming weeks. For now, Hawks Gaming taking on Burning Core is on the docket, as well as a new patch, which the most notable ones on this patch are the Trundle nerfs, in my opinion, is one of the most important, as well as the Volibear buffs. With the Volibear buffs, we did start to see a lot more Volibears showing up into pro play, especially in a lot of other regions. Even a couple blind pick Volibears. The other one is the Trundle nerfs coming in on the 10.12. The W move speed is like a real killer, especially early on, losing about 10% move speed off of that. Trundle will come in, and I imagine we'll still see Trundles, especially as a very popular pick into things like Aphelios, into very aggressive comps, so we'll likely be seeing one coming out from Burning Core if Hawks Gaming is to follow suit on their old ways. That being said, we will likely be seeing Phase Rush Amumu, or excuse me, Phase Rush Trundle coming out. And then the other things that I'm excited for are these rune changes. Predator, Ghost, and the and Guardian all getting changed in this patch. Guardian isn't the most impactful change. It is a little bit better, and possibly will look to change a couple champions in what runes they take between Airy for the shields and Guardian just for bigger shields. That being said, Predator, I don't think we have seen get picked almost at all since its rework. I believe Twisted Fate was the only one that we've seen take it just for heavy roam plays. And then Ghost, of course, being the last one. Ghost is also another one of the interesting ones, as there's not a lot of champions that would prefer Ghost over Flash. That being said, you know, we might see a couple options coming out. We did see Hecarim getting played in the weeks prior, so could be picking up Ghost as well, just to help out in that department. Although it will remain to be seen how things go down. As we're going to get things started up here, we'll look across the teams once more. One thing I am kind of curious about when it comes to Hawks Gaming and their going weeks is, will we see Burning Core kind of like off the cuff start to respect them? Because we have seen Hawks Gaming pivot. They are not exactly a one trick pony by any means. I don't say that they have like a set style to really insult Hawks Gaming. It is very much a term of, I'm enjoying that they're really stressing their style until they can perfect it. And of course, Yuhi, one of the sort of ADCs that's been kind of trying to really make a breakout performance, hasn't shown too much technical prowess, although Honey and Pooh as well have had just very comfortable bot lanes. They have great synergy down there. Unfortunately, just haven't always been able to pick up the games in their entirety. One of the other things is we've seen in a lot of other regions, especially in LCK recently, we have been seeing a lot of Aphelios counters coming out. We have seen a number of games where they're slowly starting to figure out pieces of the Aphelios counters. So I'm curious to see if we'll see a similar story in the LJL. The other thing that we do see a lot in other regions is hyper priority on Trundle, which, fortunately for my heart, LJL has not exactly shown the same amount of priority towards that pick, which I do enjoy, although I do like Trundle coming in as a counter to Aphelios. But we'll see if Aphelios is still one of those first pick champions, or if teams have been practicing their Aphelios counters in the background. Will remain to be seen. And as we wait to get things started up here, as I say that, I was gonna say, I felt like I was right behind, but now that we're here, Hawks Gaming versus Burning Core as we go into Champion Select here. Now, Echo going to be banned right away from Hawks Gaming, followed by the Syndra ban from Burning Core. Now, Echo ban's a little bit interesting, especially with the way Hawks Gaming likes to play. Possibly a champion they could have been looking at, but wants to remove that off the table right away. Now, the interesting thing to me immediately when I look at this is Burning Core banning away the Syndra. Is the Syndra popular Aphelios counter pick? So, Burning Core possibly looking to pass over Varus here, and then in turn draft up an Aphelios? As we're not seeing any bans being thrown that way, so we'll see what Burning Core does with their last ban. And Hawks Gaming banning Kindred and Graves. A lot of jungle attention given up on the side of Hawks Gaming, as Varus is going to hit the ban table in the end. So this is, I'm wondering if this is maybe a bait from the side of Burning Core to ban away Syndra and then try to pick around the Aphelios. We'll see what Burning Core does here, as Aphelios is locked in on the side of Hawks Gaming. And Burning Core, a couple picks to think of. Lee Sin off the startup would be an interesting way to start off this draft, and it will be what they do, locking that in right away for once. Kind of recognizing how much ban attention once was attracting, wants to get him a champion early on in the draft. Little bit interesting, as Set picked up alongside it is a great option. Good flex pick, locked in right away. While Hawks Gaming are going to lock in the Trundle and have their blind pick to set up here. Thresh, very commonly seen alongside the Aphelios. If it's not Thresh, it's Nautilus, and sometimes it's Set, but LJL continuing with their trend of the Aphelios Thresh combo. And Burning Core are going to be picking up their AD here, it looks like. Now, this is sort of an awkward position, but the Ashe is actually going to get locked in, and Burning Core possibly, well, for the side of Hawks Gaming, I'd like to see immediate ban attention being pivoted over towards things like Braum, as we've seen a lot of other regions trying out picks that just neutralize Aphelios as much as possible. Braum is a very popular pick alongside the Ashe, just to make sure that that Aphelios can get nothing really done in that lane. Although typically that comes alongside banning Thresh or banning Nautilus. This time not so much, as Darius is going to be banned away. A Ray Farkey special, as well as with Ghost recently being changed, definitely was a pick that you probably need to be a bit mindful of, as LeBlanc also going to be hitting the ban table. And for the side of Burning Core, I am curious what they're going to be drafting when it comes to this mid lane position, as you're likely going to need a little bit of extra damage to help out the comp. Things like Azir come to mind immediately. But they don't have to show anything just yet. They can retain the Set flex pick potential, depending on what they decide to lock in here. And Blitzcrank is actually going to be locked in right away, and I gotta say, the Blitzcrank is a bit of a head scratcher, as typically you don't want to be in melee range of an Aphelios. That's typically what you're trying to avoid a lot of the time. Although, of course, you do still have pick potential, especially Ashe Arrow, easy setup for a hook, kick them back. You know, you have a lot of lockup time that you can utilize there. While Burning Core eyeing up the bear, would be the first bear, although does not exactly explain what's going to be going into the mid lane here, as they will be up against the Galio. I doubt we'll be seeing the bear locked in here, but We'll see here. And the Maokai is actually going to be picked up here. I believe the Maokai is going towards the top lane, if I'm not mistaken. And this is an interesting one, as if you've been following, I have commonly said that I believe Maokai is very strong. I think he's super underutilized in the meta at the moment. Although, I wonder if this is necessarily the comp to do it. I do kind of like that Burning Core has a very tanky team comp, a lot of frontline, a lot of ability to displace and to keep this Ashe safe. The only thing I worry about is a little bit of a lack of damage and a lack of magical damage on the side of Burning Core. Could be issues when it comes to the later portions of this game. There is also the notion of a lot of the champions on the side of Burning Core have to get in melee range of this Aphelios. And getting into melee range of an Aphelios means walking forward, which means Wukong's job gets easier, as well as you're walking into Galio taunts potentially, you're walking through Trundle pillars. So Hawks Gaming definitely, as far as the draft is concerned, I understand where that draft is going. The thing I worry about is the disconnect between the top mid combo and the Aphelios, as it's very easy to send the Wukong in, Galio ult on top of him. It's a great setup for a lot of zone control, but Aphelios sometimes struggles to close distances like that. So, possibly things that Hawks Gaming will need to keep in mind going forward for this one. But giving Aramik a comfort champ is definitely a way to go. As we load into the match here, they will need to be careful about getting picked, as it could be very easy to try to have a panic Galio ultimate to say, oh, we need to save him, you know, we need to keep him alive till Lantern gets there, etc., etc. This is not a comp on the side of Burning Core that will let you get away from getting picked. A Blitz Hook, an Ashe Arrow, Maokai engage, as well as just how much zone control Maokai offers to a team. I'm curious to see if Burning Core are going to be able to pull this one off. It is a very Ashe-centric comp, which is typically not looked at as a champion that you focus on in a draft. He usually looked at it a little bit more for utility, having the slows, having the ultimate for the stuns, catch potential, things of that nature. You typically don't look at Ashe as a you know, the lone carry of a comp. You don't typically build a protect the ADC comp around an Ashe, but we'll see if Burning Core possibly has something up their sleeve. So will remain to be seen how this one goes off. We're having a brief pause while we wait for the match to get started up. And this is sort of an interesting one, where when I look at both teams and I'm looking at these drafts, part of me, my implicit bias, is I do want to see the Maokai do well. I do genuinely believe that Maokai is underutilized in the meta at the moment. We typically only see Maokais coming in as pairings alongside a fasting Senna, when I think the champion is just way better than that, or at least much more deserving of some pick opportunities. Can jungle isn't the greatest, as the clear is a little bit slow, but does kind of do his job sufficiently in a team fight of zone control. Can be played into the top lane if you're not looking for the hard engage of an Ornn, and you're not looking for something that can kind of like get bullied out. But in the rise of a lot of carry junglers, we've seen Nidalee popping up into the meta a lot. We've seen Graves showing up into the meta a lot. Maokai is a great gank assist for a lot of those lanes, especially for, in this game, a Lee Sin that you want to get onto the map early. You want to be able to bully enemy junglers, and overcoming that first hurdle of being able to, you know, that first hurdle of like, it's level 3 to 4. You don't have kick, so you don't have a whole lot of playmaking opportunities, but you're still trying to assert yourself on the map. Maokai is a great champion to help that out. Just so much CC, so much lockup potential. It's very easy for him to kind of, hey, come up to the top lane. Let's get you a kill. Let's get the ball rolling in the jungle department, you know? And so when you look at that, that's something that I look to see early on in this match coming out of the side of Burning Core. For the side of Hawks Gaming, Trundle does farm slightly faster than a Lee Sin and decent HP. That being said, we have seen, especially in other regions, this matchup is one that Lee Sin can definitely dictate the pace of if he's onto the map early enough, if he's making plays, and is able to kind of find outs throughout this game. As well as, typically we've criticized Tussle as being a jungler that can kind of get bullied early on. Once not exactly known to be that kind of a jungler with hyper aggression in his kit, but they did show priority for the lead. They said, we're getting our junglers that pick. So whenever I see something like that, I always want to say, what do you got in store for us once? You got the B1 pickup on a Lee Sin. You got your champion. Show us what you can do with it. When you get your pick of the litter, as well as Hawks Gaming throwing a lot of Aban attention at you, what are you going to do with that pick? So, eyes to Burning Core on that one. We'll see what he's able to pull off here. As we wait for this match to get started up here. We may be offline, but that doesn't exactly excuse us from technical difficulties, as this is actually, in case you all didn't know, this is actually the first week of Summer Split that we are back to offline format. Teams are taking, of course, precautions when it comes to, or teams are, of course, taking precautions when it comes to COVID and everything. But it is nice to be back in the studio, back on stage, and have a great chance to see, especially a lot of these younger players. You know, now you're on 0 ping, you're in the hot seat. Time to show us what you can do. I am curious, of course, also to see Hawks Gaming if we're seeing any rune adjustments coming out with the recent change to Trundle with the W nerf. The other one that I am kind of interested to see is if we will be seeing Victor throughout this week, or at least coming up into the next few weeks. I've talked about this off stream with a couple of my other analysts, and one thing that we've been mentioning is that, or at least that I sort of have been looking at Victor as, is a possible Aphelios counter. The problem is that he just needs a lot of items to really get going. It's kind of hard to navigate the early game with him. But if you can get through that hump, having the gravity field on the W is a great way to just control terrain, make it very difficult for Aphelios to walk up, and especially a late game Victor will just pop most characters very easily on. So, with Victor getting a slight buff on this patch, I wouldn't be surprised to see if we see LJL experimenting with that one. And as we're kind of, when you're looking at this kind of a game, definitely I sort of, I want to say, definitely coming into this, I wanted to say that I was like, I favor Burning Core, higher seed, still, very close, but I want to favor Burning Core. Although when I really look at this kind of a game, and I look at the comp that Burning Core drafted, I want to give it to Hawks Gaming. I don't think Hawks Gaming has a particularly strong, I don't think Hawks Gaming has a particularly strong draft in terms of overall draft cohesion. That being said, That being said, as far as as their draft goes, they just have two very very strong champions. One that Aramik is comfortable on, and ultimately, I worry. And in my heart of hearts, I worry about this Aphelios. I really worry about, Aphelios eating a hook and then the fight breaking out from there, where Aphelios just stacks an insane amount of chakrams, just starts shredding through people, especially towards the later ends of the game, as there's not a whole lot of burst potential off of a hook when you get that pick. Ashe is not exactly known for her hyper burst damage, and especially at that point, if you're landing a hook, then here comes a Galio ultimate, then here comes a Trundle walking up, and here comes a Wukong that is happy to throw himself at you and start a Cyclone up. So in terms of draft, I really have to, I'm favoring Hawks Gaming here.
味方といて CC チェーンで敵を倒していきたいというようなチャンピオンになってますからね。はい、それではここで少し情報入ってまいりました。ただいま選手の方の、機材の調整をしているということですので、もう少々お時間いただければと思います。パッチ情報なんかもう一回振り返ってみますか。そうですね。ゆっくりと。それではパッチ 10.1 の、情報を改めて振り返っていきたいと思いますが。バフされたチャンピオン、ナウされたチャンピオンという風に出ています。個人的にこのナウ
We'll wait to get things started up here. Not a whole lot of other things in this patch particularly matter. Senna, of course, did get buffed, and we did see Fasting Senna coming back in a couple other spots, but it's not commonly picked. かなりの回復量があるので、 The various nerfs as well were rather lackluster, still going to be hyper prioritized. Still, Lethality Varus is an absolute monster. While we are on a pause, I'm going to use a restroom very quickly. I'll be right back before things get started up. しっかりとしたダメージ源を持たせるというのが、構成としては一般的に組まれやすいですね。アフェリオスなんかを一緒に組むパターンが多くて、そこでボットレーンにダイブをしてアフェリオスに有利を渡して2コアができる時間帯を早めていくというのが、主な運用方法だと思いますね。ボット中心で組み立てていく際はかなり強力な選択肢の一つになるんじゃないかと。強力だと思いますね。その以前までのフィドルスティックス、リワークされるまでのフィドルスティックスもいいんじゃないかっていうところはあると思うんですけど、ただウェーブクリアが圧倒的に遅かったんですよ。ただ今回のフィドルスティックスのリワークによって W が範囲で入るようになりましたから、さらには回復もついてるわけで、かなりウェーブを押し込んでラウオムするという動きができるようになったんですよね。 I'll just be typing in chat while we're waiting for the match to get started up here.
その横にいるトランドル、今回もピックされましたよね。長くの影響はそんなにないでしょうか。ここまで大きくないと思いますね。今回もピックされている通り、以前までと同様出てき続けているチャンピオンでもあります。なんといってもそのピラーによる睨み合いの強さといったところは依然変わってないですし、タンク1体を強制的に防御力下げていく効果はやはり強力ですから、まだまだピック圏内なのかなというふうには感じますね。なるほど。そしてそのお隣バルス、このチャンピオンはパッチ 10.11 ではピックオアバンというかバンしかされていないというようなチャンピオンでしたけれども、多少は 10.12 でも飽き始めはしたものの、まだやはり強力であるのは変わりないですね。
Continue waiting for things to get started up here. For those of you that are tuning in, I have a little bit of a sort of challenge for you guys. Or not challenge, I suppose. It's not exactly going to be a challenge. But if you guys see any hype plays that you guys particularly enjoy, feel free to clip it, as I will be doing later on into the week. I will be I'm going to be talking to Reaper, and we're going to be working together on a top 5 plays of each week. That's something that we kind of wanted to start working on. So if you guys see a play that you're particularly impressed by, that you really liked, clip it, because then that gives me things that I can go back and look at and be like, all right, who's looking out for cool plays. I get to see where the clips come in, and things that I would be very happy to, I'd get your guys' opinion on, as far as what plays really spark those hype moments, those let's go moments in you guys. By all means, if you guys see anything that particularly tickles your fancy, I'd love to see what you guys kind of come up with. So definitely be ready on the clippies, as it were. Like I mentioned before, a lot of these patches are a lot of these buffs and nerfs were rather lackluster, weren't super impactful. Yasuo and Xayah are two that immediately come to mind, as far as Xayah getting some extra base damage on her ultimate, as well as Yasuo. It was an HP nerf and a shield nerf, but he did, as well as early W shield cooldown. Or excuse me, it was a shield buff. It was a shield buff and then the W nerf. Which is a little bit of like balancing, kind of comes out there. The only thing is that neither of those champions are affected by that change so drastically that you wouldn't pick them where you otherwise would normally pick them. If you are drafting Xayah Rakan and you're playing for that style, you can definitely still just pick Xayah. If you're playing for the classic Yasuo Gragas mid jungle combo, you can definitely still play the Yasuo Gragas jungle combo. As well as lethality, Varus only getting a 0.1. It was a 0.1 AD ratio on his Q, I believe. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is on his Q. And yeah, that's 0.1 AD on his Q. It's not super important. A lot of these were number flattening, as well as Cassio moved into a little bit of a mage counter, with getting extra base MR. Cass is another champion that we might be seeing coming up in the LJL. We did see Cassio drafted into Aphelios, as far as just one of those counter pick champions that scales very well, so has opportunities towards the later stages of the game, and is just very team fight oriented, much like Aphelios. Although in lane, Cass can definitely bully out in Aphelios fairly hard. Or at least has potential to kind of go toe to toe with him. And especially with Cass's ultimate and Miasma being so good into a lot of the dive threats, things that they can definitely look to in these coming weeks.
LJL 2020サマースプリットウィーク3ゲーム1福岡ソフトバンクホークスゲーミング vs バーニングコアスタートです。
Alright, and getting started up right away. Now, one thing looking across the runes, we just see fairly traditional. Tussle did opt for PTA instead of going for the phase rush, so not compensating entirely for the W move speed nerfs, although Trundle is still a very fast champion, especially taking River Walking and Nimbus Cloak. Very easy to just still take a blue smite and close that distance very easily, so not exactly too worried about that one. And on the bottom end of things, You can see Honey opting for very defensive summoners. This isn't a lane you get to entirely be very aggressive on, as it looks like both junglers starting opposite ends of the map. Ray going to be helping out his top laner with a leash there. And as you can see, it's a fairly close matchup, slightly favoring Hawks Gaming. And after looking at the draft, it definitely have to agree I give that slight edge to Hawks Gaming. But I'm very curious to see what Burning Core is going to be coming out with, as both champions are going to be, or both junglers, rushing to that level 3, looking for early level 3s to get a gank off. The one thing that I am kind of interested to watch play out is this mid lane matchup. It's a little bit easier for Galio to shove out lanes, especially with taking minion demat. That being said, it's still a decent matchup. If this was top lane, it's very, very easy for Set to kind of bully that matchup out. But in the shorter lane, it's very hard to keep champions away from CS for very long, or to completely zone them off of XP. As I'm going to be taking another pause here briefly. Did I fight? I am not 100% certain. I'm not 100% certain what the caster said. I believe he... Did the jungler not start items? Oh, that would be tragic. Well, that's not, of course, reason to call for a pause, as it is sort of nothing you can avoid. I wish I would have checked before the pause happened, but I believe he did, the caster did mention something about the jungler, which I did not quite catch. But it seems all is well, as we're right back into things. Dasher walking down here for an early ward is actually going to be perfectly timed with once rotating up here, but Dasher's just going to walk right back into him. He has the taunt. The slow will come in. Will it be enough? The Haymaker comes through, but that's a huge chunk onto Dasher right away. Retains his heal, which is nice for him going into this one, but that is a lot of damage to take early on and very hard to recover from in this lane. You do have a couple corrupting pots, so isn't too worried. As well as if you end up with being able to get teleport from your runes before having to back, can help out there. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Rayfarky just enjoying his time to CS, wait for that team fight phase, as isn't a whole lot you can really do with Maokai in the early game unless they overextend heavily, but we'll see how things go. Tussle did opt to full clear his jungle post going for that early level 3. As Once looks to kind of do the same onto his Krugs on the opposite end here. And it looks like both champions are going to be resetting towards their Krugs. Tussle in a little bit of a good opportunity onto this top side. If Rayfarky ends up hanging out a little bit too long, has decent vision to kind of keep him safe, and there's not a lot of CC on the side of Hawks Gaming top jungle, so don't need to be too terribly worried about that one. And the one thing that will kind of come up is, will we see early plays for this Drake coming out from Burning Core? If Once is looking to get things started a little early on here, definitely has opportunity on that side. As Pooh is going to spot out a ward there is going to be able to clear that one out as Yu-Gi-Oh's taking a back here. One's not going to be able to solo contest him away from that. But both junglers showing up to this side of the map means opportunity is here. Yuhi will be able to shove this one in. Large wave built up for him. Hopefully we'll be able to keep Honey busy there. So once is going to spot the pink ward coming in. You can see pings coming out from the side of Hawks Gaming. They might not let this one go right away. Dasher's going to find him, ease in. Doesn't quite get the knockup, but will use heal, land the taunt. The Q is good. Once forced to flash over the wall, here comes a TP from Yu-Gi-Oh! But no re-engage opportunities really presenting itself as once is going to be forced to flash away from that one. Dasher using his heal for the Nimbus Cloak speed. Helps him out in that department. And Hawks Gaming will take that lack of a flash and TP as their opportunity to grab themselves up a first Drake, which is a great win for Hawks Gaming, as that was an objective that would have been somewhat difficult to fight for without a lot of your champions hitting six sort of after they've been able to stay in lane for most of that time. But an unfortunate flash burn from once will actually end up handing that one over, and that's one less Drake that you have to worry about passing over, especially when it comes to, you know, waiting through the end of early game towards the mid game where you're like, okay, we just want to get Aphelios a couple items and then we'll fight. We'll wait for that kind of trigger. When you're waiting for those opportunities, having an extra Drake to fall back on before you're up looking at Soul Point or stacking too many Drakes, nice option to have on the table for Hawks Gaming. A little bit of insurance policy as we'll continue through this one. And as we're kind of resetting to a little bit of neutral here, I don't believe that we'll be seeing Lee start this one off right away, but he wants to get information on Tussle, who he's actually just barely avoiding, but as Tussle loops around, he will find him out. Throws up the pillar. Ray Farkey's going to be here first to give his friendly Lee a place to dash away to safety. And as we're continuing through this one, it looks like Hawks Gaming bot lane already rotated or coming. Yuhi is on the way and does have ultimate up, so they have an opportunity to look for a fight here. But with Rift Herald going down to about 3k HP, the next eye pop is really what's going to be deciding it. Once is going to be walking up here. Not going to be able to take the Sonic Wave in, but here comes the root. The taunt is good, and there goes Once. First blood over to Dasher. Now the combo is back good onto Yu-Gi-Oh! As he's just way too deep in. He cannot escape. And now Ray Farkey going to be forced to flash over the wall to safety there. That's going to be 2 going down on the side of Burning Core, as Hawks Gaming kind of bait them into a fight there. And they play the ranges beautifully. A little bit of mispositioning coming out from the side of Burning Core ends up being their undoing, as Dasher just flashes in free taunt into combo to make sure you're able to just lock Once up. At that point, there's not a whole lot you can do. Yu-Gi-Oh still took the suplex in, trying to see if they could get anything started up. But at that point, it was him and Ray Farkey cut off towards the top side, while Yuhi and Proud are just trying to walk through Honey, which is just not something you can do to 200 years of experience that Eladios typically portrays himself as. So watch this one more time. And eyes go to Dasher for the playmaking, flashing out of the fog, gets a 2-man combo. Yu-Gi-Oh tries to pick up the pieces here with a nice little combo there, but Honey just walks into the faces of Burning Core and says, what are you supposed to do? to Severum Chakram. That's just too much easy damage to get out, as well as fully stacked Conqueror. And that's a rough early loss for Burning Core, especially in a comp that lacks a bit of damage. You don't want to be falling onto the back foot this early. But we'll see if Hawks is able to keep the pressure on as Ocean Drake spawning up in about 50 seconds. Opportunity presents for them, and we'll have to see if we're going to see the same amount of rotations early on towards this objective. Aramic does have teleport to try and get down there if he needs, and early vision control looks to be going the way of Burning Core. See, AI is telling tales of Hawks Gaming's victory. Hawks will look to try and follow through on that one. This would be a great win for them to start climbing the standings. But if Burning Core wants to swim in the upper ends of the pool, they will also need this kind of a win, so it remains to be seen. There's a lot of teams between Burning Core and the top, so this win would definitely be one that you could capitalize off of. His Dash is going to get a taunt, but oh, not going to sidestep the hook from Proud as he's going to get suplexed in, locked up for so long. And that's what we were talking about earlier when it comes to Burning Core's comp, is the catch potential is good, and the ability to just keep members locked up for so long is just so threatening from the side of Burning Core. They're going to look for a little bit more here. Once it's going in, forces a flash out from Tussle, as he's too low to really contest here. Proud is trying to see if he can find a good hook, but Burning Jungler's flash, getting him low HP, will be enough for them to secure an Ocean Drake. Yu-Gi-Oh teleporting back up to the top lane to cover for that one, as Burning Core will pick up their first Drake, putting it at 1-1 in the Drake department. They will lose a decent chunk of gold in turret plates over to Tussle and Honey in the bot lane, as he did use the Rift Herald there to try and see if they could. They wanted to see if they could force the turret off of as a trade, and they did take the all-in on the turret. Did cost Tussle his flash, as he was kind of caught in an awkward position and took a couple extra turret shots. But I like the idea that Hawks Gaming went for there. You're saying, okay, we're not exactly on the opposite end of the map, we can't capitalize too far away from you, but we can get this turret low, we can pose a threat, and possibly look to knock it down a little bit later on in this game. And now we'll kind of enjoy a little bit longer of a lull state, and in the periods of downtime that we kind of have in between objectives, Burning Core's comp is definitely the ones that can look to punish lanes being Mia. As speaking of punishing, Galio's coming in, an early hero's entrance just to show that everyone is here. Yuhi is not going to be safe under his own turret as a 5-man comes in. Proud escaping to safety, saying, I'm not staying around for that one. There's one too many people on that end of the map for them to try to outplay. As Burning Core looks to trade plates elsewhere on the map, but Aphelios going to be picking up that turret gold. They're looking to get him online and online fast when it comes to these team fight portions that you're going to need this Aphelios damage. And as I said I was thinking the lull states were going to be going the way of Burning Core, but Hawks Gaming with the initiative there, playing heavily for this bottom side of the map and working wonders for them so far. 2-1-1 on the Galio, who has just been all over the map, ready to make plays wherever opportunity presents itself. Great sight to see for Hawks Gaming moving forward in this one. While Burning Core are going to need to start making some picks happen, and picks happen soon as this Rift Herald is spawning up here, and vision control on the side of Hawks Gaming gives them the safety to immediately start this one up. Proud looking around here, seeing if he can find any opportunities to set up some vision. Aramic on a decent flank, but will be spotted out by a pink ward if he ends up getting too close. Dasher also off on a flank, has flash again, so Burning Core needs to be careful about a repeat performance. But with Rift Herald down to about 3k HP, going low here, Once has another opportunity to make something happen. Rayfar, he's going to start things up with the ultimate. The W is on, Trundle is going to be the target as Tussel's going to get suplexed in. A great amount of CC as Once gets a good kick across multiple members, finds Tussle, but it's going to be the side of Hawks Gaming that is finding the win in these fights, as they were not able to knock down any of the members fast enough. And once they're forced to overcommit too deep, Hawks Gaming clean up the pieces of that fight. They were not able to secure the Rift Herald, I don't believe, or excuse me, they were able to secure the Rift Herald. Aramic was able to pick that one up as Burning Core lose the Rift Herald, lose the fight, and end up in it even deeper in the hole now. Hawks Gaming are starting to run away with this one. And we'll wait for the replay on this one, but this is what I was talking about when it comes to Burning Core's comp, is a lot of the pieces of their comp wants to blow up members that they find a decent amount of CC on. Unfortunately, that is just not an option. Watch how long it takes to knock down Tussle here. Yu-Gi-Oh's in, and you find the opportunity onto Tussle. He's CC'd, he gets pulled away, the Ash Arrow finds Thresh, but then there's just not enough damage to pull down any members. Once is forced to go deep into 4 members just to find one trade kill, and it ends up costing him his life. While some great defensive play coming out from Pooh as well, just to try and zone out members, keep members locked up, and make those plays very difficult for Burning Core to get away with. As well as once you're playing that deep into Aphelios, the damage graphs speak for itself as Pooh flashes forward, finds Proud. A beautiful hook by him as he's looking for an opportunity. Yuhi's gonna find a stun, but at this point, where is the fight going? They're on to Honey. He gets kicked out. Beautiful find from Once there as Yuhi's trying to kite away from Tussle, but he's eventually going to go down. Now, will Burning Core be able to brawl this one out as Ray Farkey, looking to try to get away, is going to get locked up? A huge E comes out from Yu-Gi-Oh to find a multi-man stun, and Once and Yu-Gi-Oh are going to pick up the scraps of that one. Will he be able to find Tussle? The slow is on. He will have an opportunity. Probably needs to land one more Sonic Wave. It is good. And an ace comes out from the side of Burning Core with Infernal Drake up. They will be able to nab that one. Chaos ensues across the rift as Pooh finds a good opportunity, flashes forward off of the Gravitum, knows he can capitalize off of the root, and they get the kill that comes through. But then Ray Farkey's ultimate finds so much value. There comes the Ash Arrow, and then Yu-Gi-Oh over the wall is just huge with this 4-man, as he has so much CC. And this is to speak to the side of Burning Core now. This is what we're talking about with how their comp is supposed to operate. Layer upon layer upon layer of CC to make sure you're getting so much value out of these fights. The re-engage from Yu-Gi-Oh to find multiple members. The kick from Once to find an opportunity onto Honey and blow him up before the fight starts. Beautifully done from both ends. As Burning Core kind of find their stride in that fight, and Hawks Gaming need to double check themselves and how aggressive they can be, as they hand a decent amount of gold back over to Burning Core, dropping about a 4k gold lead now to a 2k gold lead. Still favor Hawks Gaming, but now you set yourself behind one Drake. You are the scaling team when it comes to Aphelios getting towards those online items. But that isn't to say that you can afford too many blunders like that one. When really, it wasn't entirely a blunder on the side of Hawks Gaming. It wasn't exactly like they made mistakes, but they just did not take track of where all the members of Burning Core was, and Yu-Gi-Oh found a great re-engage to finish things off there, as we might see that return of the top jungle 2v2, as Once gets spotted out on that ward. Pooh has an opportunity, but most likely going to be just letting him over the wall there. And we'll return to neutral ground once again. Most of this will just be attention towards these ADs getting items in the mid lane.
そうですね、ここが取れると一気に視界のコントロールの幅というのも広がりますからね。
Both of these ADs are very high in assists, but not high in very kills, and or not very high in kills, and that's really kind of keeping them both away from their 2-item power spikes. That being said, Burning Core going to be trying to push in this wave here. They don't have a lot of... How do I put this? They don't have a lot of siege potential unless they are all grouped up. As even if you were to land a hook from Proud, it's not exactly something that you can solo capitalize off of with just Yuhi and Proud. You need a lot of the other members there to keep targets CC'd and extend that displacement chain that Burning Core has kind of drafted up here.
そうですね、今回だと、エウゲオ選手になりますかね。もちろんレイファーキー選手のバックラインからテレポートをして W のスネをかけていく。
And while we're waiting for the next round of objectives to come up, you can see some pings coming out from the side of Burning Core. They want to reestablish vision control around this bottom side. Baron is not exactly an opportunity for either team just yet. Aphelios with a couple items can really start to shred down Baron with the right weapon combinations. But at the point you're at, especially into Burning Core's comp, it's very, very risky. Once you're all funneled into the pit, Burning Core knows exactly where you are. There's a lot of opportunities for Burning Core to really punish that, as Pillar not going to land there means Tussle no opportunity to find a free kill on an unsuspecting mid laner. And as we're just waiting for... As we're waiting for just kind of the rest of this game to go here, it looks like Burning Core are looking for an opportunity. Will force out the cleanse from Honey, but Yuhi takes so much damage, ends up actually going down to just the Moonlight Vigil Chakram combo. Burning Core thought they were the ones looking for an opportunity, but Hawks Gaming shows exactly the potential of an Aphelios. One cleanse burn, but ult for ult, the damage in Honey's department is just way higher, and that may just cost them Dragon, as Yuhi will be up in time, but the vision established from the side of Hawks Gaming will really make it difficult for Burning Core to walk up here. Wonderfully played from Hawks Gaming, and Yuhi just overstepping his bounds just a little bit too much, not respecting how quick Honey was off the trigger with that cleanse. And now, on the side of Hawks Gaming, they are going to be looking at Infernal Drake as their objective, their prize for Honey's play in the mid lane. And with that opportunity weathered, Burning Core look for one more, finding Dasher out here, but knowing the rest of Hawks Gaming are readily in tow, not going to be able to capitalize off of him straying from the path, but another opportunity. Tussle's going to be face checking here, as one's just going to kick him away, as Yu-Gi-Oh is going to also be trying to run to safety. I don't believe Tussle even expected to find them right away in the bush. But definitely a good kick from once just to immediately say, get away, we don't want an opportunity here. Well, Ray will pick up a turret on the bottom side for watching Hawks Gaming, who were really just kind of running through the map, trying to see if they can find a fight. They know they're strong enough at this point. As Ray Farkey not going to stay for the turret gold on that one, recognizes there's just a few too many people missing on the map and not enough Burning Core vision on their side. So as this game goes later and later, I start to favor Hawks Gaming just a bit more, as Ash doesn't exactly scale in the damage department. Meanwhile, Honey is really going to start becoming a threat faster and faster, as well as Aramik, who can easily just be such a nuisance for Burning Core to try and pull off the style that they're looking for. Meanwhile, Dasher also 2 items about to complete Zanya's is very dangerous for Burning Core's comp, as Zanya's just that stall item, that ability to just go into stasis, hold Burning Core's attention, means they can't be utilizing all their abilities to pass down the chain of crowd control that they are drafted into. Things still lightly in the favor of Hawks Gaming, as the game currently hangs on a razor's edge. As both teams have opportunity, but as it stands right now, Honey is the one who is a full item ahead of Yuhi. And not inexpensive items either, so for Honey, that's a scary sight, as he is one crit click away from being almost 100% crit, having that opportunity on the table and really posing a threat to the rest of Burning Core, who are just not going to be able to keep up with that amount of damage. And now as we wait to kind of see where things go from here, you can see all of the vision from Burning Core dedicated towards the top side. And I kind of like this play, as Baron would be their best opportunity back into this game. Another Infernal Drake will get you to Soul Point, sure, but it doesn't prevent the Aphelios scaling, while Burning Core really could use a Baron to just try and steroid themselves in gold a bit to try and keep pace with Hawks Gaming and really start cracking open a lot of the base that they're missing. Haven't knocked down this mid lane turret just yet. But the game is slow going for now, as Hawks Gaming are content to just keep getting items on this Aphelios, as he is picking up the Executioner's Calling now. Will help when shredding through Ray and the extra healing he has there. But teams are looming around the mid lane for now. Proud has an opportunity as he waits in the shadows. Will remain to be seen, as the rest of Burning Core coming around. Dasher's going to be the one to face check here, but that's not the target you're looking for if you are Burning Core. As well as Aramik on a decent flank opportunity here. I don't believe Burning Core saw him, as they're a little bit more concerned with what's in front of them, and concerned they are, as they're going to retreat back towards the dragon. Hawks Gaming walking up in force towards this mid lane. Aramik shoving in that mid lane wave, trying to see who he can draw away here. They're going to start up the dragon while Yuhi is off towards the side. A little bit disconnected here, but one's wrapping around, looking for an opportunity. Arrow comes in, but Arrow does not land. That is going to be Aramik picking up the Drake, as that is going to be Tussle pulled in, locked up, knocked down. But the Hero's entrance will save him. That's Dasher going all in onto Yuhi, is going to be able to keep him locked up long enough. Meanwhile, Aphelios is going untouched, only being really just kind of died upon by the corpses of Yu-Gi-Oh! Yuhi as well getting soloed off towards the bottom end of that fight. Burning Core were not able to find a fight, and losing 2 members, Hawks Gaming can now look towards this Baron if they want to 50-50 it against once. And that's sort of the threat that I was worried about when it comes to Burning Core's comp, is that the game plan doesn't exactly work against an Aphelios, but you don't have the damage to really support all of your champions. You don't have the burst capabilities to capitalize off of a hook. So hooks suddenly become dangerous as Tussle gonna win the smite fight there. And now this is Hawks Gaming's opportunity to really crack this game open. 6k gold lead, Baron in tow. This is what they're going to be looking for as Hawks Gaming. Arrow doesn't land, so Burning Core look for something in the wake of this. And look, Tussle gets locked up, sure, but he is ultimately just able to walk away, as there's just nothing that Burning Core can do. You're not bursting out a Trundle. You're not bursting out nearly anyone that Blitzcrank gets the CC off of. The game is looking grim for Hawks Gaming as they're sending Aphelios up towards the top side just to try and cash in on more gold. Armor pen already completed will really just make Yu-Gi-Oh! And Ray Farkey even less of a threat when standing in his face. While Honey continues his forward progression here. Still respecting the CC engage distance that Burning Core has, and rightfully so, but still waiting for the mid and bot lanes to be sieging as well. The 1-3-1 is coming out, and is starting to look like the fall of Burning Core here. Now, Hawks Gaming can mount a last defense, but look at how much damage Ray is just taking from this Aphelios. It is just so hard for him to stand in their face as Yu-Gi-Oh! Has flash, so opportunity presents itself. But Aramic and Dash are on the bot and mid lane turrets, knocking those down. Burning Core, it's really all they can do because a lot of their members cannot stand alone in these lanes. Ray will just get blown up if he walks too close to the Aphelios. Yu-Gi-Oh! Cannot go melee range against a Baron-empowered wave and the wallet size on the side of Hawks Gaming. So opportunity needs to come for Burning Core to look for something. But as it stands right now, Hawks Gaming are just content to keep escorting in these waves. Dasher finds a taunt opportunity, but nothing that can be immediately capitalized off, as one still has W to get away to safety there. Hawks Gaming looks like they're opting just to scour away the jungle. They open the inhibitor opposite side of the dragon, so can take a reset, look towards that mountain, or to that infernal soul, and look to just have that final piece of ending this game. Dot the I's and cross the T's is sort of the MO for Hawks Gaming right now. One's not going to be missing out on any gold. Those tiny Krugs are worth a lot, so I understand once, but at this point in the game, what difference is it really going to make? You can just see the item differentials coming across, especially in the AD department. You can just see Aphelios an item and a half up on Ashe. You can see in the jungle almost about a half item advantage in the mid lane, and a half item advantage, as well as top side 3 items on Aramic to Ray Farkey's 1. We'll see what happens here. Last opportunity for Burning Core is this Drake. Already started up by Proud coming over the wall. Hawks Gaming are just going to be able to throw damage into this one while they wait for Burning Core to make their move. Aramic looking for an opportunity, zoned away by Proud. But Burning Core have to kind of split their attention between Aramic and the Drake right now. Here comes the arrow flying in. Tussle's going to be the target here. W's in from Ray Farkey. Q's back out as he's going to pop the R, but there is just nothing you can do to Hawks Gaming at this point. They are just too far ahead, and all of the members of Burning Core go down here. Proud safely going to flash away in the very end as Hawks Gaming look to chase. Aramic makes a call, teleports into the base, and this is going to be GG. Hawks Gaming taking game 1 of week 3 for the LJL. What can you really say about this kind of a game? Burning Core had an idea coming into this draft, but really, without the damage to make all those pieces work, Hawks Gaming are just able to run away with this one. As Hawks Gaming find themselves a win, they are going to be tied up now with Burning Core. In a good position to be in to start making their way up the ladder if they have found their stride.